Hello. This video is about a review of this model I've just completed. It's the Revell 1/72nd scale de Havilland C Vixen. So here's the completed model. It's a lovely model. My wife bought it for my birthday last year. Took me a few weeks to make it, got a bit more fiddly towards the end. It's a very nice aircraft, but I've made a few mistakes along the way and I'm just going to explain a few things to you. Firstly, the model is tail heavy. So what they recommend here in section 13 is that you fill the nose cone with 25 grams of weight. You weight it with 25 grams. So what I did with the nose cone, I filled it with blue tack. Unfortunately, the blue tack did not weigh 25 grams. So the plane was still tipping back on the undercarriage. So this void here underneath the air brake, I filled that with blue tack as well. And you can see I've painted over it and glossed over it. So just about worked, didn't quite work. So I filled this void as much as I could with blue tack. Forced it in, painted over it, still tipping back slightly on the undercarriage. So what I used to do when I was making it, I put a very small amount of blue tack under the nose wheel to sort of pin it down. So unfortunately, you need, as recommended by someone else who did a review of this aircraft, it'd be a good idea to put some weight in it before you put the fuselage together to make sure it doesn't tip back. Another problem, you can hear it rattling. I'll explain. The reason it's rattling is this section 5 has come loose. You carefully make up this section, carefully paint it, put it inside a fuselage, and it's completely invisible. Even though you've glued it together, painted it, it's completely invisible. And so what happens here, section 5, you can see here, section 5 goes inside the fuselage here. It's part of the engine, I assume. So I painted it, glued it in, and then it just came loose. So it rattles around. I was watching another review of this aircraft, and the person who made the model was showing it like this, and it was I could hear this rattling around. He didn't admit that he had the same problem as I had, but I'm sure that's what he had. So that section of the motor is just rattling around inside somewhere. You can't see it anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Now the third problem is the underside. It's basically grey on top and it's supposed to be white on the bottom. But I couldn't get any coverage with any white paint I had, coverage which then maintained the detail. I tried Tamiya paint. This is terrible, this paint. It doesn't cover at all. I tried Revell's own white paint. I tried Airfix white paint, and I was looking for recommendations on the internet, and someone suggested using this combination of white paint and white primer. So this white paint, AV Vallejo, or Vallejo, however you pronounce it, apologies. If you put it on thickly, it covers. But if you try and put it on thinly, so you maintain the panel lines, etc., it doesn't cover. So I had terrible problems. I tried twice and I had to wipe the whole lot off using thinner and dozens of cotton buds. I just gave up in the end. So what I did use was some blue paint that came in a starter set for an ME109. So I've cheated by putting some blue paint on the underside from Airfix ME109 kit. And that's worked. So if anyone's got any help for me about a good white paint that's going to cover without putting it on too thickly, I would very much appreciate it. Now, another problem I had was after all the problems with the plane tipping back all the time, I thought I'd put the air brake in position, but that was a mistake. Where's the air brake here? Okay. So we have the air brake. So section 24 is the air brake. Now I decided to use the longer rod here, C15 instead of C16, and that was a mistake, because when you use the longer rod here, the air brake is below the undercarriage, so you cannot stand the plane on the undercarriage. So I've just put it on top of this piece of plastic at the moment. So when you use the longer rod for the air brake, you can't stand it on the undercarriage. So that's another mistake I've made. Anyway, it's a lovely aircraft. As I said, I've made some mistakes along the way. If anyone's got any ideas on which paint to use, etc., I'd very much appreciate it. Thank you very much.